The phone's vibration dragged me from sleep at 2:37 in the morning. I fumbled across the nightstand, knocking over my reading glasses, squinting at the screen's harsh glow. Unknown number, Nevada area code. Yes. My voice came out rough, disoriented. Sir, Mr. Russell, I got your number from the lady here. Your wife. She says her name is Beatrice Russell, and you're her husband. The voice was young, nervous, male. I sat up too fast, blood rushing in my ears. Yes, I'm Ivory Russell. Beatrice is my wife. What's going on? Is this some kind of joke? No, sir. No joke. She's here at Desert Stop out by Batty. She's been here since yesterday morning alone. Sir, she has bruises on her face. She won't tell me much, but she's scared and cold, and she finally gave me your number. The words landed like fists. Beatrice should be at Death Valley National Park with our daughter, Loretta, and son-in-law, Oscar. Safe, 300 miles from Batty, and they'd left 3 days ago. Where's my daughter? Where is Oscar? They were traveling together. The pause stretched too long. Sir, there's nobody here but her. She's been alone the whole time. I was already moving, throwing off the blanket, my feet hitting the cold floor. 41 years of marriage, and I knew Beatrix's rhythms like my own heartbeat. She wouldn't be alone at a gas station. Not voluntarily. I'm coming. Give me the address. I dressed in yesterday's clothes, still draped over the chair, hands shaking as I checked my wallet. License, credit cards, cash, everything automatic, while my mind raced ahead through possibilities, each worse than the last. In the kitchen, I grabbed water and protein bars without thinking. Old prosecutor habits kicking in. Be prepared. Stay functional. The note I started writing, gone to get Beatrix, I crumpled and tossed in the trash. No one else lived here. No one to tell. I tried Loretta's number as I backed out of the driveway. Straight to voicemail. I didn't leave a message. Tried again 20 minutes down Highway 95. Same result. My jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached. The desert highway stretched black and endless under my headlights. I pushed the speedometer to 85, then 90. No other cars. Just me in the darkness and the terrible arithmetic unfolding in my head. 3 days since the family dinner where Oscar had pulled out that manila folder. Just want to show you both this trip insurance information. Make sure everyone's protected. The way he'd kept refilling Beatrix's wine glass. How Loretta had insisted. Mom needs to come right now while we have time off work. Details I dismissed then assembled themselves now like evidence at trial. The pattern emerging, deliberate, calculated. Desert Stop appeared suddenly. Harsh fluorescent lights blasting the darkness. I swung into the lot too fast, tire squealing, and there she was. Beatrix sat on a metal bench outside the convenience store, wrapped in an employee blanket. Her hair hung in tangled strands around her face. Her clothes, the nice traveling outfit she'd worn with such pride, were creased and dirty, but it was the bruises that stopped my breath. Dark marks on her upper arms, a purple shadow blooming on her left cheekbone, grip marks. Someone had grabbed her hard. She looked up as I approached, and the expression on her face shattered something in my chest. Not relief, shame. I knelt in front of her slowly, taking it all in with trained eyes. Every bruise, every tremor, the way she folded into herself, making herself smaller. I'm here now. I waited. Her voice came out broken, barely audible. I thought they'd come back. I thought maybe they forgot. A young kid hovered nearby, watching anxiously. The employee who'd called. Dark hair, maybe 19. He shifted his weight, clearly wanting to help, but unsure how. Don't talk now, I told Beatrice. Let's get you somewhere warm and safe. We'll figure this out. She finally met my eyes, and the pain there cut deeper than any physical wound. Ivory, they left me. Our daughter left me on purpose. I helped her stand, supporting her weight as she leaned against me. She felt smaller than I remembered, diminished. I grabbed her small overnight bag from beside the bench, the only possession she had, and guided her toward my car. The young employee approached, apologetic and relieved. Mr. Russell, I'm David. I'm the one who called. I'm sorry it took so long, but she didn't want me to call anyone at first. She kept saying they'd come back. How long has she been here exactly? Since yesterday morning. Around 10 o'clock. It's been almost 36 hours, sir. I gave her water, some snacks from the store. My manager said I could let her stay in the employee room during my shifts. She just kept watching the road. 36 hours. A day and a half in the desert cold, bruised and abandoned, waiting for family who weren't coming back. Did anyone else stop? Did she call anyone besides me? She tried calling 2 numbers over and over. Nobody answered. She finally broke down crying around midnight and gave me your number. I pulled cash from my wallet and pressed it into David's hand. You probably saved her life. Desert nights get cold. Thank you for calling me. He tried to refuse, but I closed his fingers around the bills. Take it. You did the right thing when my own family didn't. I settled Beatrick into the passenger seat and walked around to the driver's side. The prosecutor in me was already working, organizing facts into patterns, identifying what I needed to know and what I needed to do. 40 years in the prosecutor's office taught me to spot conspiracy. This wasn't impulse or accident. Someone had planned this. Someone had hurt my wife deliberately, and someone was going to pay. The Desert Rose Motel sat 10 minutes down the road, a low-slung building with faded pink paint and a flickering vacancy sign. I pulled up to the office while Beatrick waited in the car, still wrapped in that gas station blanket. The night clerk barely looked up as I paid cash for a room. He slid a key across the counter with the mechanical efficiency of someone who'd stopped noticing guests years ago. Room 12, ground floor, end unit. I helped Beatrick inside, flipping on lights that revealed generic desert landscape paintings and a threadbare comforter. But it was clean. It was warm. It was safe. Hot shower, clean towels, then sleep if you can. She stood in the middle of the room, swaying slightly, looking lost. Then her face crumpled. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to drive all this way. I should have known. I should have seen it coming. I caught her before the apology could spiral further. Stop. None of this is your fault. Not one single piece. We'll talk when you're ready. Not before. The shower ran for 20 minutes. I heard her crying through the door, but didn't intrude. Some things you have to get out alone. While she was in there, I stepped outside and called the motel's front desk, asking about food delivery. The clerk gave me a number for a diner that did breakfast runs. By the time Beatrick emerged in the motel's thin robe, her hair damp and combed, scrambled eggs and toast had arrived. I set everything on the small table by the window and poured her coffee from the foam cup. Where are we going? Her voice was steadier now, but still fragile. Motel in town. You need rest before we drive home. I don't want to be a burden. You're my wife. You're never a burden. Just rest now. She picked at the eggs, managing a few bites. I watched her hand shake. The grip marks on her arms looked darker. It was the second day. Her words came out quiet. We'd driven to the park, took some photos. Oscar was charming. I thought maybe I'd been wrong about him. Maybe he really cared. I pulled a chair close. What changed? Breakfast. He pulled out papers. Said it was standard stuff for the trip. Emergency contacts, insurance. But I looked closer. It wasn't trip insurance. It was power of attorney, healthcare directives, asset management agreements. My blood went cold. What exactly did the paper say? The language. It said, in the event of mental or physical incapacity, and transfer of property management. And there were references to our house, our accounts, everything. I said I wasn't signing anything without you reviewing it. Oscar's face, it just shut down. Loretta said, Mom, don't you trust us? We're just trying to help. Coercion, fraud, elder abuse. The charges lined up in my head. 2 hours later, we stopped at that gas station. They said they needed to use the restroom and grab snacks. When I came out, their car was gone, and my phone showed missed calls from both of them from an hour earlier. Calls I never received. They called when I was in the car with them to create a record. The sophistication of it was stunning, creating false evidence of attempted contact, making it look like she'd been negligent, setting up a narrative of mental decline. How long did you wait? Hours. I waited all day, all night, all the next day. I kept thinking there was a mistake, an explanation, but there wasn't, was there? I stood, the prosecutor taking over. My voice came out like ice. No, there wasn't. This was deliberate. They tried to coerce you. When you refused, they retaliated. Get dressed. We're going home. Shouldn't we call Loretta? No, we don't call them. We don't warn them. We go home and I handle this my way. While Beatrice dressed, I documented everything in my small notebook. Dates, times, details about the fraudulent papers, the abandonment, the fake phone calls. I put the phone away. First, get Beatrice home. Then, gather more evidence. We pulled into our driveway just before noon. I guided Beatrice to our bedroom. Rest. I'm calling Dr. Santos. Helen Santos, our family physician, arrived within an hour. I need you to document everything, I told her. Every injury, every mark, complete medical report. Helen's documentation was clinical, precise. She measured and photographed each bruise, noting the grip marks. Who grabbed you? Helen asked. Beatrix's voice was barely audible. My daughter's husband. I watched from the doorway as Helen wrote it down. She knew I was building a case. The report will be thorough, she said. After Helen left, I went to my office. It became a war room. Bank statements. Photos of the fraudulent power of attorney papers Beatrix had kept. The language was sophisticated, pure predation, designed to transfer assets under a false pretense of incapacity. A spreadsheet of unauthorized bank transfers. I logged into our accounts and found a pattern. Small transfers, always under $2,000, every few weeks, totaling $15,000 over 6 months. That evening, my phone rang. Loretta's number. I activated the recording app before answering. Then I put the phone on speaker. Dad. Oh, thank goodness you answered. Her voice was artificially high. Theatrical. I said nothing, just listened. Something terrible has happened. Mom disappeared from our hotel. We've been looking everywhere. We called the police. Stop. The word came out like a knife. Silence on the other end. What? Dad, I'm trying to tell you. Your mother is home with me. I drove 300 miles in the middle of the night to pick her up from a gas station in Batty, where you left her 36 hours earlier. The silence stretched. Then a different voice came on. Oscar, smooth, practiced. Ivory, there's been a massive misunderstanding. We thought Beatrice was in the hotel bathroom, and when we couldn't find her, we assumed she'd gone for a walk. We searched everywhere. We were frantic. You're lying. We both know it. We'll discuss this face to face soon. Be ready. I hung up. For the next 2 days, I worked methodically. Photographed Beatrice's bruises, compiled financial records, and built a timeline. Small details, unusual questions about assets, Oscar's interest in our estate planning, Loretta's sudden attentiveness, now formed a clear pattern of predation. On the 3rd day, I called Marcus Fleming, a former colleague specializing in elder abuse. I laid out the facts: abandonment, attempted fraud, unauthorized financial transfers. You've been documenting? Marcus asked. Everything. Medical reports, photographs, financial records, recorded phone calls. That night, Oscar called back, his smooth charm gone. You attempted to coerce my wife into signing fraudulent documents. When she refused, you abandoned her in the desert. Those are facts. That's your interpretation. Then you can explain your interpretation to the police or to me in person with Loretta present. Fine. When and where? I'll let you know soon. The next morning, I met Marcus Fleming. We spent 3 hours reviewing the evidence. This is solid, he confirmed. Elder abuse under Nevada, attempted fraud, financial exploitation. The medical documentation alone would convince most prosecutors. What are my options? Criminal charges, civil suit, a restraining order, or you could offer them a choice: restitution and permanent separation or prosecution. I drove home, and by the time I arrived, my decision was made. That evening, I called Loretta. I want to see you and Oscar here at the house next Saturday at 2 o'clock. Bring Rachel and Tom. The mention of the children changed her tone immediately. Saturday arrived. Valentine's Day. At 2 p.m., Oscar's car pulled up. I let the children in, sending them to Beatrice in the kitchen. After 30 minutes of playing the grandfather, I stood. I closed the living room door behind them. "Sit down," I said to Oscar and Loretta. Beatrice took the chair beside me. I remained standing. "Look at these documents carefully." I placed the medical report, the photographs of Beatrice's bruises, the bank statements showing unauthorized transfers, and the recorded phone transcripts on the coffee table. Oscar attempted bravado. "What is this supposed to prove?" "Medical documentation of assault, witness testimony of abandonment, evidence of financial fraud. Choose any term you prefer." Loretta's voice broke. "Dad, please. We can explain." "Then explain. Explain the bruises on your mother's arms. Explain leaving her at a gas station for 36 hours. Explain $15,000 in unauthorized transfers." Silence. "You have two options," I continued. "Criminal prosecution. I take these documents to the prosecutor's office. They file charges for elder abuse, attempted fraud, and financial exploitation. Restitution and separation. You return every dollar you took. You apologize to Beatrice. You never contact us again asking for money." Oscar stood abruptly. "You're bluffing. You can't prove intent. This is harassment. I was a prosecutor for 40 years. I know exactly what I can prove. You have 48 hours to decide. You'll regret this. Going after your own daughter. What kind of father does that? The kind who protects his wife. The kind who believes in consequences." Loretta made one last attempt. "Daddy, please don't do this. Think about Rachel and Tom." "I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking they deserve better than parents who abuse elderly relatives for money." 48 hours, Loretta." The door slammed. Through the window, I watched Oscar's car peel out, tires squealing on the pavement. Rachel's Valentine cookies sat abandoned on the counter. Beside me, Beatrice was crying quietly. I put my arm around her. The 48-hour countdown had begun. 48 hours of silence passed. At 2 p.m. on Monday, a process server delivered an envelope. I opened it. Petition for conservatorship. Loretta Russell Valdez, petitioner, was requesting legal guardianship over Beatrice and me, claiming diminished mental capacity and inability to manage our affairs. She's saying we're incompetent, that we can't manage our own lives. Beatrice whispered. She's not thinking anything. Oscar is thinking for her. This is his strategy. I drove immediately to Marcus' office. He read the petition, his expression grim. This is aggressive. We prove competency, medical evaluations, cognitive tests, the works. We file for a protective order based on the abandonment, and we investigate them. Over the next week, Beatrice and I underwent comprehensive evaluations. The doctors found absolutely no evidence of diminished capacity. That same week, I made a call to Child Protective Services from a prepaid phone, expressing anonymous concerns about Oscar's anger management, financial problems, and the resulting stress on my grandchildren, Rachel and Tom. Through old contacts, I learned Oscar's name had been connected to an illegal online gambling investigation 2 years prior. I hired a forensic accountant to follow the money. The court hearing arrived on the last day of February before Judge Patricia Wolf. Loretta's attorney presented their petition, citing erratic financial decisions. Marcus methodically destroyed every claim. Medical evaluations, proving perfect cognitive function. Financial records, proving their theft, the $15,000, not our confusion. Witness testimony, David's account of the abandonment. Dr. Santos's report, documenting the assault bruises. Judge Wolf's decision was swift. Petition for conservatorship denied. Furthermore, I'm granting the Russells' motion for a protective order. Ms. Russell Valdez and Mr. Valdez are to maintain a distance of 100 yards from Mr. and Mrs. Russell at all times. As we left, Oscar's hatred was visible. He was defeated but not finished. 3 days after the hearing, the forensic auditor's report arrived. 40 pages of devastation. The findings included online casino accounts showing losses exceeding $90,000 over 2 years. High-interest loans from predatory lenders. Maxed out and defaulting credit cards. A second mortgage on Oscar and Loretta's house, signed only by Oscar, likely forged or obtained without Loretta's knowledge. Oscar had been destroying his own family financially for years. I called Marcus. I need to know the legal boundaries of sharing financial information with a family member. Marcus was cautious. If the information was legally obtained and you're sharing it with someone who has a legitimate interest, like a spouse whose finances are being destroyed, that would be legitimate. But Ivory, tread carefully. There are ethical lines. I'm not planning to blackmail anyone. I'm planning to give someone information they have a right to know. The door slammed. Through the window, I watched Oscar's car peel out. Rachel's Valentine cookies sat abandoned. Beside me, Beatrice was crying quietly. I held her. The 48-hour countdown had begun. 48 hours of silence. When the deadline expired, the doorbell rang. It was a process server delivering an envelope. I opened it. Petition for conservatorship. Loretta was requesting legal guardianship over Beatrice and me, claiming diminished mental capacity. She's saying we're incompetent, that we can't manage our own lives, Beatrice said, shaking. She's not thinking anything. Oscar is thinking for her. This is his strategy. A week later, I found Loretta at the Ray's grocery store, staying 75 yards away, outside the protective order limit. I held up the thick folder. This is information about your financial situation. I think you should have it. Her face went hard. We have nothing to say to each other. Do you know about the $90,000 Oscar owes to online casinos? Do you know about the second mortgage he took out on your house? The one with only his signature? Do you know about the credit cards he opened in your name without telling you? Her face drained of color. I set the folder on a display of oranges. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm not pressuring you. But you're still my daughter, and Rachel and Tom are still my grandchildren. This information is yours. What you do with it is your choice. I walked away. The next day, a text came from an unknown number. This is Loretta using a friend's phone. We need to meet, coffee, downtown 2 p.m. I arrived at 1:55 p.m. Loretta was already there. The folder worn from examination. Is this real? All of it. Her voice was hollow. Every document is verified. You can verify it yourself. The house, the mortgage, my signature isn't on it. That's forgery. That's fraud. She put her head in her hands. Why are you telling me this after everything? Because you're still my daughter, and Rachel and Tom are still my grandchildren. Oscar is the problem, not you. But you need to see that clearly. I told her. Start by learning the truth. Then protect your children. The rest will follow. She left, and I watched her from the window. She pulled out her phone, called Oscar, and raged at him. She was finally separated from him, emotionally. 12 days later, on March 22nd, Loretta called, her voice broken. Dad, it's me. I need to talk to you. I'm listening. You were right about everything. The gambling, the debts, the forged documents. I checked it all. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. You didn't know about the debts, but you knew you left your mother at a gas station. You knew she had bruises. You knew what you did. I believed him because I wanted to believe we were the victims, not the criminals. And now, I see what I am, what I did. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need to protect my children. I laid out my terms. File for divorce immediately. Agree to temporary custody of Rachel and Tom with us while you stabilize. Return the $15,000. Payment plan acceptable. Child Services is investigating your home. If you don't act now, the decision gets taken out of your hands. How long do I have? 2 weeks for all three. Non-negotiable. I added one crucial demand. When you file, you need to request that the notary who witnessed the forged mortgage be investigated. Okay, I'll include it in the filing, Loretta said. 2 weeks and 1 day later, on April 5th, Loretta filed for divorce. Marcus called to confirm. She cited irreconcilable differences, requested full custody with supervised visitation for Oscar, and flagged the forged mortgage. The papers were served to Oscar at his workplace an hour ago. Server said he went pale, then red, then walked out of the building without a word. That evening, A text came from an unknown number. You did this. You destroyed my family. This isn't over. I saved the message, forwarded it to Marcus, and went upstairs to help Beatrice make up the beds. The next phase was already in motion, and this time Oscar would do most of the work himself. The next morning, Marcus called. Child Protective Services completed their home visit at Oscar and Loretta's, noting concerning financial instability and evidence of ongoing parental conflict. They required a follow-up, another pressure point. Days passed. I was waiting, watching. The call came 12 days after the grocery store encounter. On March 22nd, just after 8 a.m., Loretta's voice was small, broken. Dad, it's me. I need to talk to you. I'm listening. You were right about everything. The gambling, the debts, the forged documents. I checked it all myself. I didn't know. You didn't know about the debts, but you knew you left your mother at a gas station. You knew she had bruises. You knew what you did. She cried, confessing. He told me she was manipulating us. I believed him because I wanted to believe we were the victims, not the criminals. And now I see what I am, what I did. I laid out my non-negotiable terms for any path toward reconciliation. File for divorce immediately. Agree to temporary custody of Rachel and Tom with us while you stabilize. Return the $15,000. Payment plan acceptable. First installment within 30 days. File within 2 weeks. Child Services is investigating your home. If you don't act now, the decision gets taken out of your hands completely. She finally agreed. I added the final piece. When you file, you need to request that the notary who witnessed the forged mortgage be investigated. 2 weeks and 1 day later, on April 5th, Loretta filed for divorce. Marcus confirmed it was done. She cited irreconcilable differences, requested full custody, and flagged the forged mortgage. The papers were served to Oscar at his workplace an hour ago. He went pale, then red, then walked out of the building without saying a word, left his briefcase, his lunch, everything. That evening, a text came from an unknown number. You did this. You destroyed my family. This isn't over. I forwarded the screenshot to Marcus. I went upstairs to help Beatrice make up the twin beds for Rachel and Tom. Restraining order violation. 6 days later, Oscar showed up at my house, just before midnight, pounding on the door and shouting, "Call the police." I told Beatrice quietly. Restraining order violation. The police arrested him. He spent 48 hours in jail, posting $5,000 bail, breaking and entering. 6 days after that, Oscar violated again. He broke into Carmen Rodriguez's, the notary's, office at 3 a.m., searching for records. The silent alarm was triggered, and security cameras captured everything. Marcus called me the next morning. Your son-in-law is making this remarkably easy for us. Breaking and entering, attempted theft of records, destruction of property, combined with the restraining order violation. He's looking at serious charges. Collapse. Over the following week, Oscar's life collapsed. April 21st, terminated from his job due to pending felony charges. April 25th, foreclosure notice arrived on his house. April 27th, his car was repossessed. Loretta moved into a small apartment downtown with the children, found work as a paralegal, and made the first payment on the money owed to us. On April 30th, Carmen Rodriguez, the notary, called me. Her voice was shaky but angry. "Mr. Russell, this is Carmen Rodriguez. The police told me you might have information about why Oscar Valdez targeted my office." I sat in my foyer waiting. The 48-hour countdown had just ended. The doorbell rang. Process server. Petition for conservatorship. Loretta was claiming Beatrice, and I had diminished mental capacity. This was Oscar's strategy. Make us the problem. I went straight to Marcus. We fought back with comprehensive medical evaluations, proving perfect cognitive function, and filed for a protective order based on the abandonment. I also anonymously tipped off Child Protective Services about the instability at Oscar's house and hired a forensic accountant. The financial auditor's report was devastating. Oscar had $90,000 in online gambling losses and had taken out a second mortgage on their house with a forged signature. I subtly shared this information with Loretta at a coffee shop. She was shattered. 2 weeks later, Loretta called. She admitted I was right about everything. The gambling, the debts, the forged documents. I laid out my terms. Immediate divorce filing, temporary custody of the children to us, and repayment of the $15,000. I also instructed her to flag the complicit notary for investigation. On April 5th, Loretta filed for divorce. The papers were served to Oscar at work. The consequences were swift. Oscar's arrests. He violated the restraining order by pounding on my door and was arrested. 6 days later, he broke into the notary's office to steal records and was arrested again. Financial collapse. He lost his job, faced foreclosure, and his car was repossessed. On May 7th, I attended Oscar's criminal sentencing. Judge Martinez, a former colleague, was unsparing. She cited his consistent poor choices that endangered others. He was sentenced to 6 months supervised probation, community service, restitution, and a permanent restraining order. A week later, Loretta called. The divorce is final. May 15th, I'm legally free of him. That same week, I made a call to Oscar's new employer, Apex Marketing, confirming his criminal record and gambling debts. 3 days later, Marcus confirmed Oscar was terminated for violation of company ethics policy. The following week, Beatrice and I met with our estate attorney to restructure our will. Primary assets, house, $680,000, and savings, $320,000, would go into a trust for Rachel and Tom, activating when they turned 25. Loretta would receive $50,000. We were ensuring the grandchildren's future was secure and insulated from their parents' mistakes. Not much for your daughter, the attorney observed. Enough to show forgiveness is possible, not enough to reward what she did. The trust for Rachel and Tom was made ironclad, activating at 25 and protected from any future spouse. We signed the documents in early June. Later that month, Marcus provided a final update. Oscar was living with his mother in Sacramento, working part-time retail, barely making minimum restitution payments. I itemized the consequences. Criminal record, check. Divorced with minimal visitation, check. House foreclosed, check. Car repossessed, check. Job terminated, check. Credit destroyed, check. $90,000 in unpayable debts, check. The man who tried to steal from us had been systematically dismantled. I felt only the cold satisfaction of justice served. That evening, I sat on the back porch with Beatrice, watching Rachel and Tom play. It's really over, she said. Yes, some people might call what you did revenge. Some people would be right. And you're okay with that? I replied, I stopped a criminal using legal means. I'd do it again. Beatrice squeezed my hand. Good, because he deserved everything he got. We sat together as the sun set. Justice was complete. Summer arrived. Rachel and Tom moved in with us, filling the house with comfortable chaos. Beatrice enrolled them in summer programs. I taught Tom to ride a bike. Beatrice started therapy twice a week with Dr. Patricia Lynn. Patricia asked me today what I wanted from the future. Beatrice told me, I want to be a grandmother, to feel safe in my own life again, to forgive Loretta eventually when she's earned it. Not today, but maybe someday. Loretta called every evening. She sent the first $500 payment on the money owed. On the second Saturday of June, she asked to visit for an hour. Beatrice agreed. Loretta arrived exactly on time. Mom, when are we coming home? Tom asked. Grandma and Grandpa's house is your home right now, honey. But we'll have special visits, okay? Like today. Loretta turned to us. I'm taking night classes at the community college, business administration. I want to support myself properly, give them stability. I know I can't undo what I did, but I'm trying to become someone who deserves them back eventually. Those Saturday visits became routine. Loretta showed up consistently, never pushing boundaries. Oscar exercised his supervised visitation rights exactly once in June and never scheduled another visit. August brought our 41st wedding anniversary. We invited Loretta for dinner. She helped cook, moving around our kitchen instinctively. The evening was almost normal. On the front porch, Beatrice asked, Do you think Loretta will be okay? Really okay? I think she has a chance if she keeps showing up. If she keeps doing the work. And us, are we okay? I looked at my wife. Strong and healed. We're more than okay. Inside, Loretta called. Dinner's ready. Beatrice corrected. Wait, we just eaten. Then realized she meant dessert. Come on, let's eat with our family. I paused at the porch rail. I'd spent my life pursuing justice. What happened with Oscar was just one more case, but a personal one that required a complete solution. Oscar was gone, removed, living a diminished life in California. No threat. Loretta was here, rebuilding, earning forgiveness slowly. Beatrice was healing. The children were safe. Justice was complete. Ivory. Beatrice called from the doorway. I turned, saw my wife backlit by warm kitchen light, heard my grandchildren's voices. This is what justice looks like, I thought. Not courtrooms or sentences. This family, safety, healing. I walked inside and Beatrice closed the door behind us. Through the window, the porch swing rocked gently in the evening breeze. Empty now, but waiting. Tomorrow would come with its own challenges. But tonight was simply dinner with family. Laughter around a table. Ordinary moments that once seemed lost forever. Beatrix brought out the anniversary cake. 41 candles. Actually just 4 in 1. We sang off-key and joyful. I made a wish, not for revenge or justice. Those were complete. I wished for continued healing. For my grandchildren's futures. For my wife's peace. I blew out the candles. Everyone cheered. And for the first time since that midnight phone call from a gas station 8 months ago, I felt something I'd almost forgotten, contentment. The revenge was over. The healing had just begun. And sometimes that balance was exactly what justice required. If you like this story, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the right.